My name is Stella. I am 46 years old. My life is simple and quiet. I work in an office, and most days I work very long hours. Because of this, I am always tired. I feel like a machine that only works, eats, and sleeps. There is no joy in my routine. I feel very lonely. One night, I left the office very late. It was already midnight. Normally, I would go straight home, but that night I stopped walking. I looked at a building nearby. It was a bar. I said to myself, Stella, you need to relax. For the first time in a long while, I decided to do something different. I went inside and walked to the bar counter. I ordered a drink, then found a small table in the corner and sat down alone. I watched people dancing. I watched couples talking closely and laughing together. I felt like I was watching a life that no longer belonged to me. Then a young man walked over to my table. He asked if he could sit with me. I said yes. He told me his name was Pete, and that he was 23 years old. I immediately noticed the large difference in our ages, but I did not say anything. He was young and handsome, and he spoke with confidence. Pete did not seem nervous at all. He looked at me and said, "You look very beautiful tonight." I was surprised. I laughed softly because I felt shy. Usually, when I went out, I felt invisible. But that night, Pete made me feel seen. He asked me about my life and listened carefully to every answer. I knew he was flirting with me, and for the first time in many years, I did not push the feeling away. For so long, my life had only been about work. That night, I thought about myself. I felt like a woman again. I forgot my age. I forgot my problems and my loneliness. I only focused on Pete's smile. Pete did not seem nervous at all. He looked at me and said, "You look very beautiful tonight." I was surprised. I laughed softly because I felt shy. Usually, when I went out, I felt invisible. But that night, Pete made me feel seen. He asked me about my life and listened carefully to every answer. I knew he was flirting with me, and for the first time in many years, I did not push the feeling away. For so long, my life had only been about work. That night, I thought about myself. I felt like a woman again. I forgot my age. I forgot my problems and my loneliness. I only focused on Pete's smile. Pete asked me to dance. I felt nervous, but he took my hand and led me to the middle of the room. He pulled me close. I had not been this close to a man in many years. I tried to look away, but I couldn't. I kept looking at his face. I felt my cheeks turn red. Pete looked into my eyes and kissed me. My heart started beating fast. I knew I should stop, but I did not want to return to my lonely life. I whispered, "Let's get out of here." Pete smiled and nodded. He did not ask any questions. We left the bar together and walked quickly to my apartment. I knew this might be a mistake, but I didn't care. Pete looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. He made me feel young again. At my apartment, we went inside and talked for a long time. Later, we went to sleep. Pete slept beside me, and for the first time in years, I felt safe. The next morning, I woke up and saw Pete sleeping next to me. I told myself it was only one night, and everything would be fine. Then I heard a sound. A key turning in the lock. My body froze. It was my daughter's key. My heart stopped. She was supposed to be away for the entire weekend. Why was she home? I quickly pushed Pete into the closet and closed the door. My daughter called out, "Mom, are you awake?" My hands were shaking, but I tried to stay calm. She walked toward my bedroom. I needed to stop her. I quickly said, "Wait, do you want tea or coffee?" She said no and went into the kitchen. That was my chance. I opened the closet door and whispered, "You must go now." Pete nodded and moved quietly toward the front door. I thought the problem was over. But before leaving, he stopped and looked at me strangely. He smiled and said, "Your daughter is cute, too." I felt sick. My face burned with anger and shame. I pointed at the door and said, "Leave. Stay away from me. Never come back." I pushed him out and locked the door. Later, my daughter asked if everything was okay. I smiled and said yes, but inside I knew I had made a terrible mistake. The next day, my doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Pete was standing there, smiling. He didn't talk about the night we spent together. He only asked for money. I felt confused and scared. I thought that if I gave him money, he would disappear. So I gave him some cash, everything I had. But he did not go away. He came back the next week. Then again the week after. Every time, he asked for more money. His words slowly became threats. One day he said, "If you don't give me money, I'll tell your daughter everything." I was terrified. He knew my greatest fear. I could not live like this anymore. One night, I told my daughter the truth. I cried as I spoke. I felt ashamed. I expected her to be angry. But she wasn't. She listened carefully and then hugged me. She said, "Mom, that man is horrible. We will stop him. You are not alone." The next day, Pete came again. This time, my daughter was with me. When he knocked on the door, she opened it. She looked straight at him and said, "This ends now. Leave us alone and never come back." Pete was shocked. He knew he had lost. Without a word, he walked away. That evening, my daughter and I sat together quietly. We didn't need to say much. We were together. That day, I learned that secrets can destroy you, but the truth can set you free. My daughter's love saved me. I was finally ready to begin a new life. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.